In this video, I'm gonna be revealing a secret which lets me get dirt cheap CPCs with Google Ads for my e-commerce brand as well as other clients' e-commerce brands under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing. The CPCs like these ones right here on my screen, an 11-cent cost per link click, 8 cents, 37 cents, and that too on cold traffic. But the best part is this is not just some faulty data I'm getting for these campaigns once in a blue moon. In fact, this is the kind of CPC I've been working with this e-commerce brand for the past 2.5, 3 years now. So if we look, the average CPC for the entire ad account for all the campaigns all time is 18 cents. This ad account has spent $400,000 to generate back about $2 million. This number is not fully accurate. It's a little over 2 million. So that's about a 5x ROAS consistently. Now, when I present such data to a lot of e-commerce store owners, the first thing that comes to their mind is I'm probably not spending my entire budget because of such a low average cost per link click. Well, the thing is that's not true at all, because if we look at this campaign alone for this month, we can see it's been running at $100 a day budget and it's been spending roughly around that area. So on Tuesday, January 3rd, it spent $87, January 4th, $102, and so on and so forth. So it's been spending around that range for a long period of time. In fact, if we look at all time, you can see it's the same amount and it's increasing every single month. So what is the reason why I'm able to achieve such a low cost per link click and as a result have a consistent amount of profitability year in and year out for my e-commerce brands? Now, one thing again I want to clear is this is not some black magic. I'm not hacking the system in any way. I'm not doing anything illegal. Everything is legal. Everything is based upon a strategy. And this strategy, you can kind of divide it up into 3 separate parts. The first part is about the longevity of this e-commerce brand, meaning how long an individual campaign has been running, how long the ad in general or the ad account has been running. The second part is about the quality of the ad account. The third part is about the quality of the product data itself. Let's cover each of these phases or steps one by one. The first part, which was the longevity. So as I mentioned to you earlier, this ad account has been running for the past 3 years or so. So I started this late 2019, this e-commerce brand, and it's been running ever since consistently. So if we look at all-time data, if we change this to all campaigns and look at it on a monthly basis, and specifically look at the average CPC, we can see exactly how it has fluctuated from the beginning of time. So in the beginning, it was around a 28-cent bid limit because those were the dream months when not a lot of people had got onto Google Ads. It was basically a blue moon for me and my e-commerce brand. But as time went on, the CPC did start to crumble down a bit because of what was going on in the world during that time period, and I was scaling heavily. I mean, if we change this to cost to kind of see, during that time period, I was scaling up and up and up all the way up until about October of 2021. But as I started to scale further, my CPC did start to go up. But even during that time period, the highest it has ever been was 29 cents. What is the reason behind this? So first things first, as I mentioned, longevity. How long has this ad account and the campaigns been running? So from some of the campaigns which have spent the most amount of money have spent $175,000 individually. That just means that campaigns like this one have been running for a very long time. And one thing you want to understand with Google is it prefers those advertisers, it prefers those campaigns which spend money on its platform for a long extended period of time. Because what happens is, as that campaign runs for a long period of time, it starts to gather up data, it starts to become smarter and smarter, where it just knows what is the right audience, it just knows who to target. So gradually, as you begin to win more auctions, the cost starts to go down, which is essentially what started to happen with this campaign. So that definitely helped, but what I did initially when I even began this campaign in the first place helped out tremendously as well, because as you saw in the initial stages, the CPC was not fairly high. It was around a 15 cent to a 20 cent, maybe even a 30 cent bid limit. So I had started this campaign at around a 30 cent CPC bid limit. It was a standard shopping campaign. I had not started this campaign at a very high bid limit. So because I started this campaign at a low bid limit, the algorithm and this ad account gradually just kind of became accustomed to this low CPC. It just knew that it had to work at the CPC, otherwise its owner, meaning me, would not spend above that budget. So that's essentially what happened. It started to gather data at this low CPC, and as it got more and more data, the CPC gradually started to go down as the ad cost increased even. But then there came a tipping point when the CPC did start to go down. At that time, the profitability went down, which is why I ended up completely just turning off this campaign. But not before this campaign made me a 4.14x ROAS. I spent 175 grand to make back roughly $800,000. So the first part of the secret to scaling this brand to the next level and scaling this ad account with dirt cheap CPCs was the longevity of this e-commerce brand. But that was not alone. The second part was the quality of these ad account in general. So when I'm referring to the quality of the ad account, I'm actually referring to the back end quality, meaning the product feed via the Google Merchant Center, how many suspensions you have, how many product disapprovals you have, so on and so forth. So for this ad account, the number one thing I really did was I ensured there were no product suspensions. Number one, no kinds of disapprovals, but also number two, every single product had an equal opportunity to be shown, because the way that Google's algorithm determines whether you should rank within the auction or not is based on the product feed, the quality, and how many product suspensions you have, whether you're running at 100% optimized feed or if you have some suspensions which causes it to only have 90% good product or 95%, so on and so forth. I made sure my product feed was at 100% optimal level, or at least 99%. Of course, you're gonna have a few bad ones here and there, but I made sure to keep track of the suspensions, violations, and so on and so forth. But this was all because I knew how Google's algorithm favored one product over the other. So the way that Google favors your product versus your competitors is, number one, based on your perceived value of your product, how people are interacting with it, whether your CTR is up to a certain level or not. But also, number two, are you following Google's directions or not? Are you a good advertiser? So these two things, along with then the CPC, determines whether you rank up front for the auctions or not. But this kind of brought me to the third stage of having these dirt cheap CPCs, which was making sure that the quality of the product data was ideal. So this meant I needed to optimize my campaigns further and properly in order to ensure the quality of the data I was providing to my ad account and to the algorithm was up to a certain level. So because I was running a lot of standard shopping campaigns during that time period, I was heavily looking at the keyword search terms coming up. I was making sure the bad ones were excluded. I was also making sure the good ones were incorporated in some way, shape, or form within my products. And I was adding enough similar products to what was already selling within my ad account. Because one thing you want to understand is the more products you have which are already winning or doing well, the better your chances of taking up more space within the top 5 to top 10 listings, at least with shopping and search, and the more chance of you having dirt cheap CPCs. And the more often you do this, the lower the CPC is gonna come down over time. So when you kind of incorporate all of these three different parts, the first one, longevity, meaning running an individual campaign or just running your ad account in general for a good period of time, along with number two, which was having a good quality ad account, making sure there were no disapprovals, making sure your product feed via the Google Merchant Center was optimized, combining that with the third part, which is having good quality data within your products itself on the back end, making sure it's optimized. All three of these things led to an overall drop in CPCs and led to a lot of profitability. Now, this is still very doable even in the recent time periods. I mean, I already showed you the results for this month that we're running at an average CPC of 11 cents. And of course, the ad spend this month is not too high, $1,500, because I'm focusing on scaling other e-commerce brands, some under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, which if you're currently doing $40,000 or more per month in revenue, you need a little bit of extra help scaling your e-commerce brand to the next level. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But Again, we're running at a decent ROAS of a 2.83x. It does have its fluctuations up and down in the last 7 days, a 3.13x, but that's just the name of the game. There's going to be fluctuations despite the low CPCs. But that's essentially what you want to be doing in order to achieve those low, dirt cheap CPCs. Again, very doable despite what your AOV is. This brand had an AOV of $500, $1,000, even $2,500 at a certain point in its lifetime. So it's definitely doable. But watch any of these two videos right in front of my face and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to take your e-commerce brand to the next level with Google Ads.